Trump point where it's like, oh, you would leave someone, your spouse, whoever, because they voted for Trump.
I would.
That's a bit where I'm like, I don't know if it translates automatically to like, oh, you don't care about my rights or anything like that.
It
like,
depends on the reason they voted.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
You know, no, there's some
Because
people
you
who
feel that way.
There's some people who, like a Hispanics, who voted for him because of some
economic shit.
Some
that
policy
give me more
goes
jobs.
with
That's
them.
it.
Yeah.
That they
Maybe
believe
there's
But
a
that
policy.
The
policy
problem
is more
is-
important to you
That
than
was
my
the one
rights.
thing.
That's the pro- yeah, that's
They
but
exactly
didn't
I
have
don't know. I mean, that's like.
We clearly don't align.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
it.
okay, for instance,
So that's
if
the
I was
reason.
dating, if fine, I'm married to this guy, and there was this candidate who's running for presidency, and they say, you know, I'm actually, when I'm president, 50% of the jobs that belong to men will now belong to women. I'm going to vote the shit out of this president because I'm a feminist and I believe in that.
Absolutely.
And
And
maybe
your
my
husband should do
husband
the
might
same.
lose the job. That's fine. And they might vote for someone else because they have their job to think of.
That's
But
perspective. That's a very good perspective.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean like, oh, you're less important to me. But we have like, you know, we're individual people. Just because we're like together doesn't mean that we have to be like every single thing that we believe in has to be the same.
That's true. I agree completely, but I
I see what
think
you're
that
saying,
it's
that
a
political
subjective, personal decision that for me,
Yeah.
someone who would support Donald Trump as a candidate, for instance, which,
Oh, just
and we're talking about it in terms of like interracial relationships, because once again, it's about race, it's about power and privilege, and white people have certain privileges, and they don't have to
Already.
think about the feelings of black people because they don't live in that experience. And you can find yourself in a situation where you are intimately entwined in a relationship with someone, but once again, their race may play a role because of your race is your lived experience, where they
don't understand.
they don't think, they don't get it, they don't have to think about you. It may not even be like a subconscious, like, I don't give a fuck about my girlfriend, whatever. It may really be like, yeah, this policy, I support this policy, and they don't even think.
Okay, but that's exactly.
But that's my issue.
But that's exactly what like goes
It's
back to
scary.
that where it's like, yes, it's scary and everything, and then it's like again looking at a person by themselves and making certain decisions because they didn't think of you. How many times do we do that? And granted, this is a bigger issue and there's power involved and all of these big concepts. But they are individuals and they have the right to support whoever they want to
That's
support for
true.
whatever reason they have. And that and the
Absolutely.
fact that actually I already know that you are maybe incapable of thinking of certain concepts because you haven't lived through them.
You are
That's
capable.
just like
You either have to support them.
You're
Or not.
you're
That's- this is
incapable of
your whole-
experiencing it, but you're capable.
yeah, so
of
what do you like? But those are the things where it's like at some point, what do you want them to do? Like
But
it's like the
so-
same as us. Like okay, yes, I'm being judged for being black and you know living this life the way I am. So what do you want that white person to do, who's your partner? If yes, they can't experience it.
But
Yeah.
to
They
your
can't
to
be
your
black.
But you are an
Yeah,
ally.
it
You
is
can
what it
support
is.
it. If you love me,
Be an ally.
then you're not going to support something that is
that affects
detrimental
my life. Because
to me. You're not going to support
Yeah,
someone
I mean-
who does not believe in me, who thinks that
But
who invalidates my
Conversation we have
experiences.
had before.
I think,
But that's the thing, and this is
divorce
another thing,
is
though.
too deep though. I
No.
mean, if it's just like
No,
Because it's
relationship,
a belief.
I
But
then
here's
you
the
can
thing.
No, but
break
it
up
comes
that,
down-
but like
I'm talking
a
about that
divorce is
marriage.
too deep.
But it comes
Yeah.
down
I think it's
to
like-
fundamentals.
Divorce,
Yeah.
you're throwing away everything.
No,
I
but
feel-
here's the
because
thing. When
they
it comes
don't
to, we
believe-
say race doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you can be in a relationship where you're like, I'm in a relationship with this other person. No, but you can be like, I don't care about race, so and I'm just with this other person.
Yeah.
And you find yourself where you're in a relationship with someone to the point that you guys are married. And you guys have maybe not had those types of conversations, or like it's just not been something that's a focus until times like that where who you're voting for, or they may say
So
something.
then whose fault?
Or
is
you
that,
may see
though?
something.
That's not Donald Trump's fault.
It's not done. I'm
No,
not
I'm saying
blaming
I mean,
him.
that's
Yeah.
not the
Had
fault
that
of the choice.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Even before,
Like I feel like
No,
that's the
you
stuff
should
where
have
it's
known
like you
beforehand.
know that your partner isn't aware about this. It's what we were talking about before,
But
even
here's
that whole like that we will communicate about these things and we see each other as
Yeah.
these people who are coming from different lives
Yeah.
and trying to help each other experience. So if we've never spoken about it, right? You
I
are
know.
not.
Yeah,
But here's
Right.
the, yeah, but that's the kind of like the thing that makes me nervous
Yeah.
about interracial relationships to a certain point, because I would need to be the person that like we talk, we know, we.
But that's how you would prevent the.
yeah.
other
But
things,
with a
yes.
lot of people, you never have those, especially because race is uncomfortable. So you
But that's
never,
an
you're in a
issue.
relationship
Why would you
itself.
go
into a
That's an
relationship
issue
and
of the
you have-
But a
relationship
lot of
itself.
people, yeah,
though,
but
in
People
my-
do
it is.
get
But it's
married.
about, it's still about race.
Yeah, but then that's the issue of the relationship itself.
Well,
Even if this
maybe
person was
before.
not, they were not, it maybe was not interracial. It would have been on something else.
It should,
Yeah.
You
That's
should
it.
communicate. That's the point of the. You got to a place where you're married to this
Yeah.
person. At what point did you think you
At
would
that
have
point, you
started
should
to
have
have a
been,
conversation?
Yeah.
That means both of you are bottling up things, and mostly the black person, not even the white person.
The white
That
person
means
is
they
like
were just like
chilled.
bottling up things for so long
And
that
then you're
to the
surprised.
point where you're married to a person who has no idea what kind of experience you have in your life. Like, you know, if someone's not
Okay.
dealing with it, they don't think about like your rights. You
true.
know, like if we're not sitting here, yes, as much as I would like to support women, I'm not sitting every day about like women's rights in, I don't know, Saudi Arabia, because I'm not there.
That's not your reality.
But that's
Yeah,
different.
it's not
It's
reality.
But once
different,
you're
but
in a
you're not in a
relationship with
relationship with a
one, you
woman
think
in Saudi
about it.
Yeah, you
Arabia.
consider that
Granted,
they're in your
Granted,
house.
but then if I'm never going to be able to walk in your
That's
shoes,
fine.
at some point you're gonna have to hold my hand
And show
show me your
True.
footsteps and your life. So if you don't do that, say
Fair
that
enough.
was the issue, right?
That's
You
fine.
don't do that, and the biggest fight, the biggest clash between us happens after this voting. It's like,
But that's the thing. People realize that, wait,
Yeah.
I can't
Everything
do
else was
this.
fine
You know, yeah, I
first.
totally agree with you. But
Yeah.
I'm saying this is why race can be an issue
but
for
I feel like
people.
it's something you could have realized before.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
you
You
could
should
have
have
known.
known.
They saw
whether-
themselves
Maybe.
in that kind of position in the first
And there's
place.
so
There was
many
no way for
issues
them
in
to know.
relationships that
Somebody
might
knew
not
Trump was
overcome-
gonna run.
And
the-
whether-
Yeah.
Out of
So
fear,
it's like-
yeah,
There's
Trump
many
was-
many issues with interracial relationships is true, but I just feel like this whole
The
like you
Trump
got to
thing
a
was-
a stage where you know one of you voted for somebody.
Yeah,
like
you are
I feel like those are things that like there's
You
a
should
lot
have
that
known that
got-
my
you
partner
know
could potentially go.
like
to-
this
Alright,
person
so-
just like
Yeah.
woke
That's
up out of
So
the
here's the
blue and was
question. So
like,
if
like
okay, so you should have known like what your fundamental values are.
Yeah.
Fine, but
Yeah.
you come to find out. You didn't know. You come to find out. So you should stay.
you're
regards to-
married, you're finding
So,
out.
yes. After you're married, you're finding out, and you don't agree with it.
With
So you're saying that you
politics.
should stay. You should just stick together because you didn't
You
talk
already-
about it
You
before.
come to find out
No,
what.
you would talk
And this
about
is
it,
the
but
bit
it's
that I'm
not
not
something
understanding.
that
I'm
you
confused.
divorce
Yeah.
about.
No. I mean,
No, you come to find out politically you don't have the same.
take
But how are
take
you
take.
finding out?
So all the dates
Because
that you went
conversations
to,
didn't
all
happen.
the
You've
times
agreed
you
on
went
everything
together,
else in your
all the
life.
nights, all the
Yeah.
conversations,
You know what I'm saying?
then I know
It
all the
happened.
meeting each other's
It happened.
families,
No.
all of those things happen, and
These
at no
people-
point in time.
No,
There are people
the
in those
issue-
types of
Yeah.
But that's an
Listen,
issue with
the
the
issue with-
relationship.
Sawa na
Not
kubali.
particularly
The issue
interracial.
with,
That's
listen,
what I'm
Jonathan,
saying.
Fine, but
But
it's
we
a
all agree
fundamental
that
issue.
divorce is an option.
It's an option.
Yeah.
Oh,
We all
I'm
do
not
agree.
gonna
It's a
divorce
it's
you.
a
I think
conversation.
that
Because-
divorce would come as an option, right? The way I see
After a
it,
conversation.
okay, I
And
see
after
the
you-
divorce being an option in a way where what I understand is this one person, there's been an imbalance in this relationship
For
from
a while.
before
While. Not
that you
just
two
one
caused, and
thing.
this was the tip of
That's
the
the thing.
iceberg
Yes,
where it's like,
exactly.
you know, but there's no way that we've had this mutual
Because
supportive
then-
That's why I
partnership.
said those guys
And
were
then
gonna
all
get
of a sudden you
divorced
did it for
regardless
Donald
at
Trump.
some
I'm like,
point.
okay, yeah.
It's
I
not
have-
just one thing
I have a
that made
friend.
them break up. And we
I
were
have a
like,
friend
no.
who's, you know her, actually, Kelsey. She's white, she's American, and after the election, she decided she couldn't talk to half of her family because they voted for Trump. She's married to a Tanzanian guy who's black, obviously. So she was just like, fuck it. I'm choosing my husband
My family.
over my family.
Which is fair.
Which is fair, yeah.
Which
guess
is
that's
fair,
what
but I think the issue is not about Trump having different.
No, we're talking about the
No,
race.
Trump is
Like,
about
Political
race.
views,
Yeah.
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 But
Just the
when
issues that can come
it's
up.
about like race to like an
the only reason Trump is making because of
racist
what he
and, you know,
stood for.
Exactly.
His-
All the
Sexist
things that
and
And even in that
Yeah.
situation, right? Why I say it's a choice, I highly doubt someone like her, your friend, or anyone else in that situation who then decides they're not talking to their family now and they're gonna choose their husband. This wasn't a surprise. Like it wasn't something you just woke up and now your family voted for Trump. No, now your family's racist. Like, no, I'm sorry.
I'm
like
sure
you've
But
grown
they
up
weren't
with your,
racist,
you know.
they loved him, and then they
Sawa,
just
lakini I'm pretty sure kwani elections were 2 days. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand like this whole I just
you
found
know-
that you
Fine,
voted
she
for-
knew for
Do you
2
know
years
literally
that she was
Prime
not talking
Americans
to
did
them.
not
But
see the
people laugh.
primary reason to
like all
that.
those
She knew from the
debates,
first
all the
debate who was over.
conversations. Like it's
DNC.
just no, I
but
didn't
with
know.
the Trump ruling, it was very difficult to know. Most Americans thought that Hillary was going to win because
Exactly,
there
it was a
was a majority of we were going through that whole sexing phase whereby women
Yeah.
was in support for women.
Mhm.
The problem was we did not see this other side of things whereby white Americans, do
So
hate
they
that
never
Trump.
spoke about it.
Yeah, it was that unspoken
Possibly,
thing.
yeah.
But that means you're looking at part of the majority of the population of being rednecks, white Americans, white supremacists. And this whole agendas that are just unspoken rules were going to play a part in this election
And then they just came
Granted.
out.
because of the candidate that was there.
Exactly.
Hillary was
Granted.
a much stronger candidate, but once we started going into all white papers and her emails and all these other things, it wasn't a major issue for a candidate. I feel like if Hillary was a man, it would have
For
been
sure.
taken as seriously
Yeah, of course.
as it was, and should have gone on to win.
Mm-hmm.
If Hillary was Barack and went through the same,
White Barack.
black Barack.
There's a white Barack.
No, I'm
still
saying in
would
this
have won.
example,
Because
if
you'll
it-
play the
if it was a
factor
white
of-
guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
would have played the factor of he's black, he's had these things, he's about to put our nation's security into jeopardy, and it'll have played a very different role, like just how it did. So being a woman, being black, is a very fine line you're walking. That means you totally have to be on a proper basis clean.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
We're having a discussion here,
Yeah.
right? We're sitting here, everybody sharing their views.
Yeah.
So there are so many discussions around this election,
Yeah.
more than ever.
Yeah.
There's discussions everywhere. You're wanting to tell me that you have a family you've grown up with your whole life. You have married somebody you've known for don't know how many years, maybe even one, but you're living with them. You wake up with them, literally.
Yeah.
You have discussions about this election. Granted, there was uncertainty, there are all these forces
Yeah.
playing around. Are you trying to tell me that these people that you've known for
Yeah,
a
no
big
idea.
chunk of your life,
Yes.
from the way they are talking, they might not say,
I know
I'm
my
going to
family.
way
vote
they
for
raise
Donald
you
Trump,
and
right?
everything.
They might say things about Hillary that we're having a discussion in general, but are you telling me that at no point are you able to sense where the conversation is leaning, even if you don't know they're going to vote for Trump?
Oh, I know that my family is racist.
Yeah,
If
it's
I've
hard,
lived in
but-
it for a while, and I'll
So
be
why
like, oh
did
yeah.
And
you
here's
just cut them
another
off
thing.
all of a sudden? You already knew, like,
But
how
I'm
they
not
were.
understanding
Just cut them off all
The
over
cutting
the
off
world.
bit might be a decision on her own. It might be
Yeah,
very
but
different
that's
for her.
precisely what I'm saying. I feel like the decision to like divorce somebody,
It's-
you know, sometimes people
it's
use
very
things
different.
also as an excuse
Yeah,
of
it's
like, oh,
different
there's
than
this big
Trump,
thing.
right.
Oh, to
But
get
like,
out.
I feel like that's not like there's
not
no
that.
way that like okay you just like this one decision you made
Yeah, it
that
was
like
a
was so
much more
out of
deeper
the
rooted
blue.
issue.
Like
yeah,
I
it's
just
probably deeper than that.
I
yeah.
mean, true. I totally agree with you, but like, and actually, the reason I brought up the Trump thing, because I think that, well, I know that there were a lot of people who, because it was not like, if you, especially in liberal spaces, it's looked down upon you. It was not okay. It's taboo to be a Donald Trump supporter, and there were people in relationships who hid that. They had planned to vote for Trump, and they hid that from their partner. And another thing is like, it's not even about like being an outright, for instance, racist or sexist with Donald Trump. A lot of white people voted for him because, once again, back to what race is. It's power, it's privilege. The world is changing. Women and people of color and globalization, we have started to get like equality. We are now taking, we had a black president, like all these things whereby people who were marginalized for so long are now getting some gains and like capital and whatever, all of that. And for white people, because it's not your fault that you were born white, but in certain spaces that means that you have certain privileges, and the feeling of other people getting a piece of that pie that you have had for so long actually feels like oppression.
Yeah.
So a lot of people voted for Donald Trump, not even because they're like outright racist, but because they feel like, because this world is changing and they're losing their privilege,
And they had
which
8
feels
years
like
of a nigga
oppression,
already.
and you're already in a space whereby it is taboo. You cannot come out and say, I support Donald Trump. So there were a lot of people who,
But that's
yes,
precisely
we're
in
in
like, you don't have to say
relationships.
that. You don't have. Like, there's so many. Like,
I know,
That would be
I
like
know.
saying human beings will have to say something for you to say intent. Like that feeling that you talked about. That's a strong feeling for someone to
Been
have.
there for a while.
And even no matter how much you try to hide it, there's no way. Like people are married, or you have a family, or
think
whatever.
it's totally
And we have
possible.
It's very possible.
and we have a discussion, and there's like you don't have to completely know someone's intent, but there's no leaning at all towards like it might not even be like, oh yeah, like I'm like leaning towards voting for Trump, but just not leaning towards the other way.
Yeah, no, there were people who completely were like deceived. They were like, they'd rally for Hillary. They were
You
part
have
of the
to
meeting,
look-
but then
We have to look at a much
when
deeper
they,
issue.
it's,
So they're intense
Because-
lying. Like,
Yeah,
if the
it's
issue is like
deception,
they're you're
If you don't-
you're
I
a
think
liar.
it's a bigger
Yeah.
issue than
It's a bigger
that.
issue
It's not
because if you
about
don't know your
Trump,
partner
it's
from the
just like a
get-go,
good
Yeah,
liar.
it is a much bigger
builds,
issue
it
than
builds
that.
Yeah.
a much harder perspective. That means
Yeah.
if we just started dating for about a month or two, and then I
Mhm.
voted for Trump, and you leave my wife, yes, I'm like, we're good.
Yeah.
You did not know who I was. I
Yeah.
made this decision.
Yeah.
and
That's
it
very
was
fair.
Totally
That's very fair.
what it is.
Yeah.
Marriage is another thing.
We've been
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
I mean, through our conversations or through our
Yeah.
relationship, there must be something that I must have hinted out that, hey,
Yeah, there's
Like
no
I know
way.
you're struggling.
Like either
Yeah.
it is,
but I
you
did
know,
not. Yeah.
either you are like you the wife, you who
Or
or the
you
husband,
bad.
whoever got deceived, you're just really bad at picking up
Yeah.
signs
Yeah.
from your partner. That's all there is to it. There is
What if
no
you're
way
not?
on earth.
But 'cause
Like
even,
humans
even
just don't
after
work that way.
there
We
are
don't
two
live
things
in
that
a
will happen.
vacuum.
Yeah.
Even if you go and rally,
Yeah.
sorry.
But you lie to yourselves about so much. Why not that?
But it still comes out of people still here. How does the truth
I
always
think
come
the
out? People are
issue is
always
that,
able to say to tell.
it might not be like racist or sexist, whatever
Yeah.
it is. It's just
They might
is
not
that,
realize that they're
no,
racist.
no.
And that's
The issue is that they have Trump has policies which some people do agree with, which maybe makes sense to them, and then there's a part of he's a racist and a sexist. So you have to kind of see which one is important, right? And obviously you have to kind of take this other side of him being a racist and kind of see that this is a much bigger issue than the policy which you're trying to
Support.
defend. Now your partner now sees that the
Yeah,
other way around.
It's the other way around.
Like
yeah.
these policies are much bigger than
Mm.
the
Because that's
him
not your
being
partner's reality, so he
not
doesn't know.
it's him
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
as a person, him being a racist and a sex, but it doesn't really
Translate
affect the country because the country's all the laws and decisions
and
are
No, but
made
it
by
does.
the
These are
Congress.
for me
It's not
because
for-
I'm
Yeah.
black, and
Yeah.
even though it's not gonna affect the country,
Yeah.
but he's because I'm a black person, I know what I know the things I've gone through. It matters how he is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But for a white person, they're like, yeah, he's racist, but like,
It
why
doesn't
is it gonna?
affect.
It's not gonna affect
And that's
you.
the kind of
You're
person
still
I
able
wanna
to
be.
drive to work and come back and live with me.
But
So
that's
it's not a
the
big
issue.
deal.
But that's
No,
but
but
that's
that's
exactly
the
the
issue
issue.
you're
That
talking
your
about.
partner should care enough.
I
about
think it's a
you,
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except
Because
just
my
as mad
problem
as
is
you
your
are.
problem.
Yeah.
And vice
So
versa.
and if he doesn't see that,
If it doesn't,
Then
then the
we-
next
For
Yeah.
problem.
instance, for
I
example,
agree,
right now we
Because it becomes about
we
everything.
just talked about how millennials, like in the decision to get married, for instance, right? And you have this partner who you would go out of your way to fight for, and their values from your end, and their values from their end, and someone will have to give whatever. Granted, this is not like racism and the history and what has happened, but then going back to the fact that they have not walked in your shoes. They do not know your experience, and they will never know your experience, no matter how much you try to teach them. And that's just a choice you made
Yeah.
by marrying them and dating them.
Yeah.
Like, that's just something you've decided to go with. When you now get to a place where you already understand that this person will never understand your experience, right?
You have to make a decision.
Why? You have to make a
Make a
decision,
right
and you
now,
have to
then,
understand
way before Trump.
that
Yeah, I agree.
this person, way before Trump, that's
Yeah.
why we're saying that it's a problem with the relationship
Yeah,
and
I
the
agree.
people. And this,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm saying there's one person who was just bottling up things for a while,
Trump
and
is a
he was
trigger,
just
right?
it was the tip, it was the tip of the iceberg. It wasn't the real issue because you've already accepted. There's no way that this is the first time that anything that was
Yeah.
subconsciously racist or whatever, this Mzungu thing could have come up already. This, like, I don't know, it would have been some insensitive things here and there where you know that this is what this, maybe they're not racist, but they really
Yeah.
just are so removed.
Yeah.
All these like killings and things happening, he might have made a comment of like,
Yeah.
but like black guys are just so aggressive to policemen.
Yeah.
Like he could have said that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know, but then that's the truth. That's maybe just how
Yeah.
they see their reality and their world. And if you have stuck by all of those things, just bottle it up, and then you come to find out they voted for Trump, and then
Yeah.
you're like,
don't say you got divorced because you voted for
I'm so
Trump.
Yeah.
betrayed.
Way
What are
deeper
you
than
talking
that.
about?
It's almost the same.
Like, there's no way this is just when it came out. There's
I mean,
no way
true.
that you didn't feel his need for like the white supremacy or like his fear of the pie of the cake being shared now. There's no way like this is the first time that you've actually felt that, because otherwise you're just not that close to begin with. That's just how it
There
is.
was a
If-
story
if-
about a couple, an interracial couple. I believe she was white and he was Mexican. He got deported that was the end of that. After, yeah, I remember
Oh,
when they
short
were.
story.
No, after Trump was elected, during that whole
Immigration.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he got deported, and she was just there like she was crying.
But she
No,
voted
that's-
for
But
Trump.
it's like, but and she
Now
said she
that-
voted
Yeah.
for
No,
it.
no, that is a stupid move. Like you know, some of the
Because he said
policies
outright.
are gonna
That's what I'm
affect
saying.
But
your
that's
unregistered
true.
husband, like an undocumented husband.
my
is gonna
God.
and then you
Yeah.
still
Like that.
voted for Trump. Now in that case,
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
your
that it's not
husband has to
documented. This
outweigh
one has
the
said
policies
outright.
that
Yeah.
you might.
He has every right to be like, peace out, right? Well, he has no choice, but
He has no choice but to be
because
pissed.
he's in Mexico.
And just like,
Because
But
how do
yeah.
you vote for Trump when you know this little affect
So you
your
can see that it
life?
can
You
happen.
actually know the
Exactly.
reality.
That's the
You
point.
know
I
the
had no
reality.
idea.
Yeah. You know the reality. Like you
Because
can't say,
they were
well,
both
I don't know your
surprised
experience
somehow,
because
but,
I'm white. But in this other situation, I just don't.
But if you
I
talked
really don't
about
know.
it and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna vote for Trump, you might get deported. If you agree with that, then okay. Yeah, but obviously
that's
that
because
didn't
it was,
happen.
like,
Obviously that didn't happen. So that
Yeah.
example is like, she was just stupid.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like
That's how we
moving,
get
and
to
moving
conclude.
beyond Trump in general, I think, okay, going back to the question of like, would you date someone from
Yes.
another race or a tribe? And most of us said, it doesn't matter. We don't consider these things. But again, you said something whereby you're like, you can't understand my experience. And I think that's actually an issue for a lot of people when it
Yeah.
comes
Be
to
able to-
whether tribes or
Yeah.
a race, is that you are it's a gamble that you're
making
you're
a
building
choice.
a life of someone who could in certain instances see things completely fundamentally different from you because of the shoes that they walk in,
Yes.
and for you that's like ultimate betrayal. So
Yeah.
it's really so
I think
as I
those
get
are the
older
risks you
I'm
take.
like
It's a
From
gray
the-
area
from
issue.
the beginning.
now I'm like these days I'm like
But I think we
I-
agree we care less about tribe, and it gets a little trickier with race.
because of way tricky.
Although
I
I
don't
think
think
a
about
different
either,
perspective
but I
though.
guess
Yeah.
a majority.
In terms
You
of the
could
race
have
tribe
more.
thing, I know in my family, because like was Zanzibar, the coastal culture is so like they think they are like the only
The
human
ish.
in the world. Like there is no other culture.
Yeah.
There is just that. So in their opinion, they would actually prefer if I like brought home a white guy as opposed to like a Pare guy, for
Like
example.
some guy from another
Because
state.
that's like too
Yeah, there are people.
close to like battle.
Yeah.
Like they feel like, you know, if it's a white guy, he's
White
so
people don't
far
have
away.
culture.
Hey, it's that mentality of like they don't have culture like any, or it's like it's so different
Yeah.
that they'll just be like okay. Whereas this one is so like close, there's so much overlap.
if you
where
went
we're
here,
still
why did you
African,
just-
we're still Tanzanian.
Yeah.
So then the borders, it's so
Yeah.
easy to lose me. Basically, that's
Yeah.
how they see it. It's so whereas that one, they have faith in like how they've raised me in the way that it's gonna be too like different.
Okay.
Even for me to just let go of everything.
Just
Where
the
this
other
one,
end.
the boundaries are so like blurred that I could easily just start doing things that are like,
Right.
oh yeah, but it's kind of like us, but it's only like, you know, more alcohol. It's kind of like how we do it, but you know, instead of like the mom, we do it with the dad. Or like, and then all of a sudden you're now pattern. Like that's how they see it. So for them, it's like,
Very interesting.
please,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like better to just bring someone, and yes, they do think white people have no culture. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's so
I mean-
uncultured that we'll just inject all
Yeah.
of us
Mm,
into
mm,
him,
mm,
and he'll be one of us, just white.
Yeah.
For some reason,
That's-
in my house, me marrying a West African is almost as bad as marrying like a white person. Like
Yeah.
just
Nigerian.
Who was swindled in your family?
I don't know. But my
Nigerians
parents are like,
balling
I'm
right
not going to
now.
a wedding in Lagos. Forget about it. I was like,
It's just a
They have
perception.
the late 20s,
Yeah, it's all
though.
about
They do.
I don't get
money
it.
at
Yeah.
you.
They're balling right now. They're
Yeah.
like they're on some next level.
Yeah,
me
so
the
mom
money.
and dad.
Yeah, so yeah,
We might have
sometimes
to
it's
travel.
just easier to just stick to what you know.
It
I know there's some people
technically
that
it
just
is,
like
yeah.
I just don't want the hassle of first of all, our relationship and then families and then
Yeah,
children
so
down the
much to
line
do.
and then society.
Julissa, what's the point?
I want peace in the home.
Yeah.
People
Because
just
like
like-
now, Kim Kardashian has to learn how to do black hair.
Yeah.
Which is
Like,
actually
that's
the
what
beauty.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of
Because
mixing
she didn't
with
think
other
about it
people, but it's
before, like,
also
But
And
she's
again,
also
again,
black,
it
which
goes
I
back to
didn't
the
get.
perspective,
Yeah.
right? Like if you go in from the beginning, you know, no defenses. I'm here to learn. It's like going into an internship. You know, and then you get the full job and it's like their marriage, but it's like
Yeah.
we like, you know what I
We're
mean?
trying
Like
it out,
it's
you
like, yeah, we're trying it out. Are we fitting? Is
Orientation
your
period.
culture fitting with
Yeah.
ours? You know,
Yeah.
like, do I like this stuff?
Mm.
You know, and some guys could actually be like, you know, I actually love doing your hair. And I actually, and
Yeah.
if you go in with defenses high,
Until it
someone might
gets
actually take that offensively.
Yeah.
You know, like, why do you always want to do my hair or you want to touch me? You think it's exotic? No, I actually just. And again, it's like the beauty of difference. Like, it is exotic, not in a bad way, but it really is. I've never touched this hair. Like, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
My life.
Yeah, never
The
in
truth
my
will
life.
not be racist, but
So-
however it is.
Okay. Well, that was, I think, our best discussion so far.
Yeah, whenever Trump is involved, it kind of gets
Yeah,
any
thanks, Trump.
discussion.
One thing you did right.
Why
Thank
did
you
call
all
the house
for participating once again. Please leave your comments below and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.